Hello, it's me, Ben Pavlo from the selfhelpcompany.com. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. And the topic of the discussion today is going to come from chapter 6 of my new book, Self Help for At Risk Teens. This is going to be an overview of the topics I cover in this book. And as I've mentioned before, every chapter is broken down into small, easy to read subsections and easy to read smaller chunks of content. So it's a really simple, practical book, strategies that I've used to personally overcome obstacles, and also strategies that I wish I had known when I was younger. And I know my life would have been a lot better. I would have avoided a lot less stress, trouble, and adversity if I had known these things. So in chapter 6, I cover friendship qualities. And friendship qualities, to me, over the course of my life, I've learned to observe how people treat me and how I accept that treatment. And sometimes we put up with things that we pretty much shouldn't, because some people treat us in a way that, is not really the way you want to be treated. Some people disrespect you, they break your trust. And if you know these things up front and you realize that once someone breaks your trust or is disrespecting you, especially in public and in front of other people, they're really just not the type of people you want to associate yourself with. Yes, they might be an acquaintance, someone you just frequently hang out with amongst other people, but if they're doing this to you, they're not someone that you would want as a real friend. They're not someone that you're going to spend significant amount of one-on-one time with. You're not going to travel with them. You're not going to go out just you and them hanging out if they're someone who you can't trust. And if they're disrespecting you in front of other people, or they are, talking behind your back when you're not around, that is a form of disrespect and a serious breach of trust, especially if you tell somebody something in confidence and you don't want other people to know, and then they go running around and telling people. It's just not someone that you want to consider a good friend. So know these things up front. It may appear obvious, but it's not, because why do we still hang out with people who do these things to us? Well, sometimes it's for attention. Sometimes you really like the person. You want to like the person. But unfortunately, you can't trust them. So you have to make a hard decision to kind of cut back on that time. And the next thing is really just to not to change to fit in. So if some people you're hanging out with, a specific group or a person, is the cool group and you really like them and you like the things they're into, but it's really not you and it's not really who you are, changing to fit in is really not going to last long. Because if it's not your true self and you're only kind of changing your ways, or the way you dress and the things you listen to, the music you listen to, or whatever it is, if you're only changing that stuff just to accommodate other people and to make them think you're someone you're not, that relationship isn't going to last. And plus, it's not going to make you happy. You're going to become miserable in trying to keep up with what they're doing when you're not really interested in it and you're only doing it to be accepted. And that's the main thing, is to not change who you are just to be accepted. Now, I encourage you to change your ways over the course of time, but only in ways that are going to really benefit you as a person and developing yourself and your character, because change is important, but changing for the wrong reasons will really only make you miserable over the course of time. So finding like-minded people is really the key to being happy amongst your friends. Because when you find like-minded people, people who think along the same lines as you. Now, this doesn't mean they have to be exactly like you, because if there's some things you don't necessarily like right now together, but over the course of time, you may become aware of some of their interests and hobbies. They might expose you to new things. You may be exposing them to new things. So finding like-minded people doesn't mean you have to like everything, but it's a general sense of the vision for your future and for your life and for goals, for the sense that someone else thinks big like you think, or they think way ahead and to the future, and they're thinking about their future. These are the kind of things that I consider like-minded people. Not just, you like the same exact kind of music, but more in depth, in the sense that they have a vision for the future in the same way you do. They care for the environment the way you do. They like a lot of the same things, and the more you have in common with someone naturally, that's the stronger the foundation for the friendship. So if you have just a few common things, that's building that foundation for a long-term relationship that you can build on, and then also have more things in common later in the relationship. So it doesn't mean you have to have everything in common right away. It's just that you have a like-mindedness. You think in a similar way that will be a better foundation than if someone you're just trying to adapt to so they can like you for, whatever reason, when they're not really your type of person. They have a few qualities you like, but they're not really like you. You know what I'm saying? So avoiding negativity is one of the other key things when it comes to friendship qualities. If somebody is a total negative person, every time you have something nice to say, or you have a small achievement, or you did well on something, and they're real negative about it, and they're just not supportive, and they're really negative, and they just always negative. No matter what you say, they're looking at the downside. They're considered pessimists. These are people that will not be able to be happy themselves, and so they hinder you from being happy. And so this is important for you to realize, because if somebody's always negative and everything they think about is negative, that's eventually going to rub off onto you. And you do not want to have negativity coming at you all the time. So if you're hanging out with a full group of negative people, people who are either into drugs or alcohol or stealing or vandalism or whatever it is, any of that negativity, the more you're around it, the better the chance that it's going to rub off onto you. So you want to limit the amount of time you spend around negative people and just negativity in general, which could come from a bunch of different sources, whether it be negative news or negative social media. Any kind of negativity, you want to limit the amount of negativity you have in your life. But when it comes to friendship qualities, negativity is contagious. So if you're hanging around people who are negative, you will eventually become negative just as a byproduct of being around them, because there's a saying that says you will become like the 5 closest friends you have. Like, you will become just like them in whether how much money you all earn. So there's a saying in personal development and self-help arenas that when you take your 5 closest friends and you add up their total income and divide it by 5, that's how much you make. And you may not fully understand this right now, but if you actually think about it, and maybe in the future, maybe you do this when everyone has jobs and stuff. Basically, it just simply says that you become a lot like the people you spend the most amount of time with. That's why it's important to avoid negative people, because you will become negative. So you want to surround yourself with positive and encouraging people. These people don't have to be the most successful people. They don't have to be the smartest people. They just have to have an optimistic outlook on life. They have to be encouraging. You want them to be accepting of whatever it is you're doing, even if they don't fully, think it's great. If you think it's great, they should be encouraging of you. They should be supportive. And if it makes you happy, it should make them happy. And they're the kind of friends that you want to spend the most amount of time with. The next type of people I want to talk about are social media friends. And in a lot of cases, fake social media friends. Because unless you know somebody face to face or have went to school with them or worked with them or know them face to face, if you've never done that and you met them online but you don't know them, there's a good chance that they are being dishonest with you as far as who they are. I'd say they're fake friends in a sense because you've heard the term catfish and things like that, where you don't know who these people are. Now, if you're playing a game with a person and you guys are on the same game, somebody's telling you stuff about themselves, you got to be careful about who you're telling personal information to. Don't ever share personal information about yourself. Don't tell people where you live. Don't tell people who your family members are, things like that. Don't even tell them your last name because there are so many people out there nowadays being deceitful, and people put a lot of time into scams and things like that where if just that little bit of information you give them, they can take that and use it against you in all kinds of terrible ways. And so just be careful who you make friends with online. Now, it's not, you can do it, but just be careful about it. Make sure you do your due diligence and find out, make sure they're saying whatever they're saying is true. Be sure that, to do a little homework on them as well to make sure that they're telling you the truth. And if they say their name is X, Y, and Z, and maybe you go look on other social medias to see if they have other accounts to see, if they're legit, if their pages are real, if their pages have actual content, pictures of them from before, or if they're just some new account that has just a bunch of generic, pictures that they got off the web or whatever. So there's ways to kind of confirm what people are telling you, and take the time to do that before you become too friendly with somebody and really let your guard down, because people are there's a lot of bad people in this world. There's a lot of good people in this world. Just be careful and do your homework. And when it comes to the type of groups you're involved with, if you're like a person who's into a certain type of sport, whether it's a basketball or a baseball, and you're in groups with people, and there's other types of things where it's, say, if it's more of a less of an interactive physical thing, maybe it's arts and crafts, or it's an art that you're into specifically, like if you draw with paint, if you're an oil painting person and you want to like get involved in a group, and you look in your local area, maybe at the library or the recreation center, and there is no group for the type of hobby you're into, I encourage you to start your own group and create your own circles. So whether it be, like I said, in arts and crafts, or maybe it's skateboarding. Maybe you ride your skateboard by yourself a lot, but you don't have anyone to do it with. Maybe start looking around and seeing who else is out there that would be interested in meeting at the skate park every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever it is after school. And so find other people who are into what you're into, and then maybe get together as a group and in a positive way to spend your time doing positive things. Just another idea for hobbies. But when you have people who are into the same stuff as you, again, where the friendship quality is, the more you have in common with somebody, the better chance you have of a lasting friendship. So, of course, you're going to change your ways over the course of time. Your hobbies will change, your habits will change, your interests will change. But always be true to yourself and focus on doing positive activities and positive hobbies, and you'll attract positive friends. So avoid negative situations and avoid negative people, and make the uncomfortable decision to walk away from certain people in your life if you see that they're always getting in trouble, or they're always being negative, or they're using foul language, or they're talking down on other people, or maybe you see them bullying people. These are not the kind of people you want to spend your time with. So please analyze the people you're spending your time with. Realize who's good for you, who's bad for you, who's a good influence, who's a bad influence, and make that tough decision so that you can continue to have a good quality of life and you're not sucked into the negativity and become a victim as a byproduct of being in the wrong groups or being at the wrong place at the wrong time. So hopefully this information was helpful, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next chapter of chapter 7. So thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and have yourself a great day.